Welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val, where we will bring you candid conversation. In each conversation, we will talk about real life ups and downs while tackling unresolved matters. We will also unmask issues and truly speak straightforward and candid about our needs and brokenness, while allowing ourselves to exhale so that we can become victorious. This is a place where you can be open to the possibilities of living life in abundance while gaining tools to become bold and complete. So let's get to it. All right, we're going to get this thing going. I want to first welcome Kimberly Williams. Kimberly, you want to say hello to the people up there. Give them a little wave, and then I'm going to bring it. Good morning. All right, we have Kimberly Williams. We also have Valerie Gardner-Smith. That's her right there with the beautiful braids in her head. And then we have Dr. Courtney Keener. Y'all know I'm bad for that.
Gatlin Keener.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, give it to me. And then we have Jackie Bay. Jackie Bay, welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val.
Jackie Bay from Baywatch.
You know, what we gonna do with him? I don't know. Well, today's conversation is about nurturing, and nurturing never stops.
Mm-hmm.
And as actually it doesn't. I mean, we're at an age now where we probably have grown kids and even grandkids. And I'm just gonna throw something out there real quick. Just because your kids are grown, have you stopped nurturing them?
No.
All righty then. So we're just going to lean into this conversation and we're going to peel it back. Kim, if you would, tell the people a little bit about you and why are you here at the Love and Victory Show to talk on Nurturing Never Stops? And if you guys could.
Well, I think for me, of course, I'm a mother of two, and both my kids are grown. I have a 31 and a 21-year-old. And I think I probably do more nurturing now than I did when they were younger, just because I had control when they were younger, and now I don't. And so I'm still trying to gain some control a little bit or let some go. But my son is venturing out on his own now, and so we talk almost every day because, Mom, where do I put this? And Mom, look, I bought this picture to hang on my wall. Where do you think I should put it? So, you know, it feels good because I don't have to make a decision. But like I'm always in their back pocket.
Yes, that they can reach to you if they need you.
Yes. Yes.
And you still have a place where they still desire and want your opinion.
Absolutely.
That's
They trust you.
Yes. And I will say this. I think it comes from being able to have open communication. Like we talk about everything. Nothing is really off the table. And so they do feel comfortable now as adults, because I'm never in a judgmental space. So I say I'll tell you guys this, and you can move on. I ask them when they call, now, do you need my advice? You want me to make a decision? Or do you just want me to listen? And most of the times, it's just, Mom, just listen. I don't need you to make the decision. So I like that.
Well, I think, and we all can just jump in. That's how we kind of do here at this candid conversation roundtable. I think I enjoy this space too, because my baby girl told me, because we was battling at one time with this very thing, figuring out when you're grown and just kind of falling back. So she said, Mom, we need to just have this thing where we're just talking. I'm calling for you to listen. I just need to get something off. And so we do that. And now that we found how to communicate, because all of them are different, she had to say to me, okay, I'm just calling to vent, where the other ones will just say it. And even if I gave advice, you know, they'll take it or they wouldn't take it. But she's that one child that had to be, I want to just talk. I don't want your advice. I don't want you to save it. I don't want you to fix it. And again, just have to figure each
And
kid
it's
out.
hard, I think,
Yeah.
as parents in general and mothers in particular, because we're always wanting to fix things. I
Mhm.
think we're
Wait a
innately
minute, I
programmed.
thought that was a man's role.
When
That's
it comes
what we
to our
do.
children,
Yes,
I
it's-
think
yeah.
mothers innately want to just jump in and
Mhm.
automatically fix things.
Mhm.
And I think you have to learn to strike a healthy balance
Yes.
between helping your children, nurturing them, helping them, and handicapping them.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
trying to figure out where
That
that fine
balance
line is that's really it. If you can ever figure it out. And I don't think that it is one set thing, that is one size fits all. I think depending on your child,
Mhm.
it changes, right? Or where that line is.
I think it's very important that you can't learn to raise. You can't raise them like you raise the other. All of them are individuals.
Absolutely.
And so one may need a little more nurturing at one time, and then the other one may just say, you know what, I got this,
Mhm.
just fall back. So
Mhm.
anyone, Val, can you share what your experience is and where you're at with this nurturing thing?
Yeah, well, I have a 40-year-old and a 37-year-old,
Uh-huh.
and they are very different.
Mm-hmm.
My 37-year-old, is a boy, is a man, and we are like two peas in a pod.
Mm-hmm.
He tells me everything. Some things I do not even want to know.
Hello, that sounds like my baby boy.
I do not want to know, but he tells me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The 40-year-old is my daughter, and she's in a nursing home. And our relationship at one point was very estranged. And so it's difficult for me at times to have a close relationship with her because of the relationship we had in the past. And I try my best to let things go, but it's difficult.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say that she burned so many bridges with myself along with others. So
Yeah.
when we communicate, it's just
Sometimes
a
it's
difficult
this.
conversation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I want to be there for her as much as I possibly can. But here again, it's very hard.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like to be honest, and it's hard for her to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't like to hear the truth either.
Mhm.
Val, I think sometimes the hardest things for parents are people that are not experienced. And I don't know the extent of your conversation, but just listening to what you're saying, I have my older son that is that has his challenges that's in and out. And like you say, you burn so many bridges. And sometimes when you burn those bridges and you're trying to help that child and that child is still not wanting to be helped, or they get there and you still the hope of life, light, and then it goes back. It is hard.
Mhm.
And it does make you somewhat, I'll just say it for me, it's resentful.
Yeah.
And that's something you have to work on and pray
Mhm.
constantly, because that resentment sits in that place where, oh my God.
And sometime I'm gonna take over for a
Thank
little
you,
bit for
baby.
you. Sometime when you're in that space, you're looking for that child or that individual to say, "I'm sorry," and sometimes you're never gonna get that,
Yeah.
and you're gonna continue waiting on that, and that resentment continue to build, waiting on just a simple apology. But
Just have
how do you move forward?
Right.
With an apology,
Without-
never got
Without an apology?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, we got a doctor in the room.
So, doctor, what is your professional? I can give the unlicensed
I know he's
version.
the unlicensed. He gonna give y'all the unlicensed version.
But before you go, I want to hear from Miss Jackie over there. She's been kind of.
Well, I've been listening.
Yes,
There's a lot of good stuff.
Now, do you have any children yourself?
Well, between my husband and I, we have 5.
Oh,
Okay, you
And-
sound like my wife and I.
My husband and I also.
Mhm,
yeah.
And I love them all. I
Mhm.
mean, they're great kids and they all have their path in life.
mhm.
And in at the beginning, it was, this is what I want for you.
Mhm.
Here's what I want you to do.
Mhm.
But then I realized they didn't do anything I wanted them to do.
My.
The more I pushed them to do something,
Right.
they went the opposite way.
Yeah.
Right.
So now I'm more of like, okay, it's your path. I'm here to guide you.
Mhm.
I'm not here to fix you. I used to try to fix too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was,
One of the things I think as mothers, we give birth to these humans.
Mhm.
And like, I can remember giving birth to my daughter and my son, really. And so you have all these aspirations.
Yes.
You see this little
Mhm.
human being
Mhm.
and you're like, this is mine and I can shape and mold and,
Mhm.
you're going to be this and he's going to be that. And so you have all of these dreams of what you want your kids to
Right.
be.
Mhm.
But then they become adults.
Right.
And they get to choose.
What-
Right.
And, who
And
they
that's
wanna
the
be.
thing. It's the
Mhm.
choice and what you said, the path.
Mhm.
And oftentimes it's not anything
That has to do with you.
that pathway, what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say this, what I'm proud of most is not what their pathways. They're really good people.
Mhm.
Yes.
So then whatever
And that's-
you do, it's fine with
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
Just be good. Just be
You
a
know,
good-
in the beginning stage, we all want to raise our children to be mini us,
Yes.
little mini uses,
no,
and be
please
the
no.
better version, of myself,
Right.
and we pushed and push and push our version
Right.
What that's
of
supposed-
what the child should be
Right.
on them. And they sometimes grow resentful
Exactly.
because
what
that's
they
not the
think-
path they want
Right.
to choose.
Well, what they
That's-
think is the love is conditional.
Yes.
You're going to love me unconditional regardless of
Yeah,
what you
Right.
think I should do.
Mhm.
And that's from
yeah.
the key.
Parenting is very different today than
I think
when
too,
we
as
grew up.
parents, we have to remember to parent with grace. The
Mm.
same way that we want God and
Oh,
others
come
to
on
give
now.
us grace.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That we have to make sure that we are parenting with grace. Yes, we want them to do certain things. And yes, we
Mhm.
feel a certain way about them not maybe doing certain things. And we can see the end before, you know what I mean, at the
Yes.
beginning, right? We
Right.
see them
We
going
see-
in a direction that maybe they should not be going,
Mhm.
but we can't force what
Right.
we're wanting on them. We have to trust that what we've instilled in them,
Mhm.
that it really will be that, hey, even if they go off,
Mhm. When you go down that path
yes,
Right.
that they
that
come
I
back to
told you I
themselves.
went down and it's going to end
Do
up
it anyway.
drastic.
Yes, exactly. And that, and you have to just kind of trust that. And
Mhm.
even going back to what she was saying, even if you don't get the apology, because how many times have we hurt people
Mm.
knowingly or unknowingly?
And even our own
And-
parents.
Yeah,
Yes.
and we have not apologized for those
Mm.
things. We have not come with a contrite heart and spirit to
Mm.
say, I am so sorry, forgive me.
Yes.
And yet, we have
expect-
been
and
absolutely.
we're expecting that of them. Oh, that-
Absolutely.
Welcome
Right.
to the show, Pastor Courtney.
Right.
I completely agree, though. Absolutely.
Okay, so I have a question here.
Okay.
So can you parent them with grace, but from afar?
Absolutely. I think that it's
I
wise
think
on
that's
your
healthy.
part
Yes.
to kind of make sure that you're protecting your peace, your
Right.
heart,
Mhm.
your mental state of being.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, anything that you nurture, since we're talking about that, it's you're involved with that thing. You're loving it. You're trying to help it grow and become successful and that sort of thing. And I don't know that you can completely be hands off
Yeah.
and do that, right?
Mhm.
But I definitely feel like you can do that from a distance, that you can just kind of at hand's length
Yeah.
until you feel more comfortable coming into that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't give them a life sentence. I think
Right.
that's what we
Yeah.
do to
Right.
people, that
Yeah.
people do things to us and then we give them a life sentence, but we don't want that. We want the grace
Mm.
to be
Mhm.
forgiven. So
Well
Here's the
said.
thing about that. I do things for her all of the time on a regular basis, but sometimes I do it with a begrudging heart.
Mm.
But I do it because I know it's necessary. Uh,
do it unto God.
Mhm.
Honestly.
You know what? It's so funny you said, because, and I don't mean to jump in there.
Yes,
but-
you do. Go ahead.
That's good.
I think I understand where you're at, but what I had to start doing for myself, because that's my baby. I had to really say we wrestle and really understand that and mean that we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Absolutely.
And so I had to, because my child, no matter what I love.
Yes.
So I had to take the face off
Yes.
of the situation and actually put the faith, this is my baby.
Mhm.
And even if I had to find the face of that good moment of him when I'm seeing him, not in the state that he's really in. And that helps me.
Because who knows, that could be your assignment, part of your assignment. You know what I mean? To get through this thing. And if you're not passing the test, you know what I mean?
You're staying in it.
You're staying in it and you're having to repeat that thing, you know?
And it's
wanna
an
move
everyday, and you're going to keep, I'm not saying that it's going to, every time you come into that situation, you're able to move, because it's going to hurt. Different things happen.
Absolutely.
But just keep trying.
Mhm.
Just keep trying it.
Mhm.
And I had to get to a place, Lord, just let me see him.
Mhm.
You know, and sometime when I see him, I was hoping that I would see him one way and then I seen him another way. So I would have to fall back, get myself together and come back in.
Mhm.
So
And you don't want to put yourself in that every day,
every day.
because that do affect your mental state.
Mental state,
Right.
yes.
You know, you have to guard your heart and your mind
Come on.
in Christ Jesus.
That's the word.
That's what you have to do, because we'll get involved in this thing and start trying to fix it ourselves. And before long, you'll find yourself sitting in a nursing home.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, where your health is affected.
Yes,
Ladies,
absolutely.
if I would ask, what is your favorite part of motherhood or actually nurturing or even motherhood? What is the favorite part? What is the one thing that you love most about mothering, being a mother?
For me, it's just always been interacting with my kids, because I am a hands-on mom, but I saw that example. My mother was a hands-on. If you saw my mom, you saw us. If you saw us, you saw her. So I think being active in their lives has been the very best part for me, because you get to see these little human beings grow.
Okay. Okay.
And you're in that.
And in your case, they grew.
Anybody else? What's your favorite part of mothering, being a mother?
Feeling needed.
Oh, okay. I like
Love
that.
feeling needed.
Yes.
And like you said, them coming to me. And
Valerie, if you don't mind, if you can think real quick, what is the one thing that you love most about being a mother?
Seeing how they turned out as adults
Mm-hmm.
and the successes that they have made as adults.
Yes. And for you?
I would say the relationship. My daughter and I, we're friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't always been that. Anybody who's ever raised a daughter know that there are times where you're kind of bumping heads and that sort of thing, you know. And but even that is a good thing, because I like that she's strong. And so I know that that's a part of me, something that I can be proud of. But I think just the friendship, knowing now that as she's growing, she gets it. You know, at first, mama may seem a little overbearing, or she's trying to this or that, but you're starting to have experiences of your own. So you're getting it.
And I think for me, that's probably the same thing now. I enjoy my children. It's almost, I'm still a mother. I'm over here, but they're my friends.
Absolutely.
But there's a balance, you know. I'm still
yes.
mama, but I enjoy their company. I enjoy hanging out, being at the house, laughing and grinning. We actually can have adult conversation and adult fun. You know?
And see, my daughter, she sees that I talk to my mom every single day, multiple times a day. And so now I can see us falling in a similar pattern.
Yes.
Whereas before, she used to be like, you always talking to your mama.
Right.
But now she's becoming me. Where she's calling me and, you know, and we're just talking, you know, and I like that.
Okay. If you could pour anything into a new mom, someone that's just deciding to have a child, their child may be just above toddler age or may go into preteens, what would you say to that new mom, since we're some experienced moms around here?
I tell people this all the time. I want a baby. Okay. Because it's a lifelong experience.
There you go.
Like, you don't get to, even when they're adults, there's never a detachment.
Mhm.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but no matter where they are, my grandmother had a saying: when they're little, they're on your lap, and when they're grown, they're on your heart. And so that has been such a true statement.
Yes, it is.
And so I tell people, that connection, I think if you're active, you pour enough, and sometimes they're going to go wayward and they're going to stray. But I honestly believe this: in their heart of hearts, they have what we instill in them.
Absolutely.
It's just they get to make a choice.
Absolutely.
They get to make a different choice, and it may not be a choice that we like, but it's a choice nonetheless. So I just say it's a lifelong, like it's a forever.
Yeah.
You don't get to
Commitment.
be a mom
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you're not a mom. No, you're always mom.
Right.
That's a life.
And sometimes I think they are so busy trying to establish that they're grown.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like at a certain age, it's like, well, I'm grown.
I can do this.
But being legal doesn't make you grown.
Yeah.
And that's why we still have to nurture.
Let's talk about that right there, because just think about it. When we first left home, I like, when you hit 18, you think about that 18, and then you're like, okay, I got this. And then you're like, I really don't have it at 18. Then you hit 21
Mhm.
and you're like, I got it. And we didn't want to hear
Absolutely.
from our parents. But literally, when we have our children, we expect that they understand
Mhm.
you're not grown. But that's that time when you are really fighting with them, because you're really trying to. Oh,
I think that started way before that.
No, I just saw myself. I thank you, Lord. I think that's the time when you're really trying to keep them from hitting some of those bumps in the roads that you hit, but we still have to allow them to hit the bumps in the road, because we came out all right
Mhm.
ourselves.
It's funny. I sent my son this little meme the other day, and it's a picture of Kevin Hart, who's his favorite comedian, but he's holding this glass, and it said, when we used to wish we could sit at the grown-up table, and now we're at the grown-up table, but he has this scowl on his face. So my son sent back, he said, yeah, I want to go back.
I want to go back.
It's too many responsibilities and bills and things like that.
You got bills now.
Yep.
That's so true there, because you think, they think that they're ready.
Yeah.
And we thought that we were ready.
Yes.
This thing, when you really get out there and you're responsible for paying those bills, and you can't just say, I'm not going to pay this car note today because you can't get to that job. I'd rather go hang out with my friend,
Right.
that real life responsibility.
Well, you mentioned about the age like 18 and 21 and that sort of thing. And I actually want to ask Jackie about this, because I know a lot of times in the African-American community and families, I think that there have been traditionally where you're like, oh, when you get 18, like you're getting out, or you're 21, you're getting out, or whatever that is, right? And I think that a lot of other cultures, they don't do that. They really are trying to like keep the family together. Everybody's living in one house until, they are buying.
No, Jackie said, oh, come on,
No, honey.
give us some, Jackie.
No, white people don't do that.
Okay, y'all know what
And when they're ready to leave,
Jackie, what they say?
when they're ready to leave, they can leave.
They can leave.
Of course. I'm not going to kick them out.
Yeah.
Right.
But do I think they need to go spread their wings? Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, but see, you're allowing that to happen, as opposed to, I think sometimes
Oh.
traditionally, I think African Americans have been known to be like, when you're 18 years old, even if you're not kicking them out, you're encouraging them get out. You know what I mean?
As uncomfortable as possible.
Yes.
So, I gotta go.
Uh-huh.
I
Right.
think that's when you have a child in the house, they want to be a grown person.
Mhm.
When you're trying to be a grown person in my house and I'm paying all the bills and you just sitting over there in the house doing nothing. Oh yeah, it's time for you. You have to do something.
Yeah. So
Oh, they can't sit and do it. No.
Yeah,
I
you
won't
have
allow
to do
that.
something,
So in other words, what you're saying, so that's not necessarily a culture thing. From what you're saying that that's just someone trying to be grown.
Mhm.
I do think I understand partly of what you're saying, that we expect, or it's expected of from the African American community, and anybody can jump in and tell me I'm wrong.
Mhm.
I think we expect that. What are you doing? You're now 18.
Mhm.
You have graduated from high school. Are you going to college?
College, yeah.
What's your
Are you?
plan?
What's your plan?
Right.
You know,
plan.
we're not going to sit back
And go hang out with your
your
buddies
buddies.
and want to come in my house anytime you want to.
What's your
I'm
plan?
having a flashback right now.
What's your plan? So then if you don't have a plan, then what we do at that point, we need to sit down and help you with the plan.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So would you say?
And is it different for daughters versus sons? Because I know with my
I like
daughter,
that.
I was trying to,
I think
when
so.
she was ready to move out, I was still trying to say, well, you can stay here. You ain't
Oh,
you have to pay bill. Yeah.
This one here, the boys, it was a different story for the boys. And why
Yeah,
is
that's what
that?
I'm wondering.
Why are
Yeah.
you? Why is it easier for you to say hold that girl in the house, but then tell the daddies,
Mhm.
but tell that boy he
Mhm.
needs to get it together? Can you answer that question since you're sitting on this panel with these beautiful 5 women? Mhm.
Yeah, 2 grown men can't be in the house at the same time.
So you're gonna say 2 grown men, but you just
Yeah.
said oh.
2 grown men can't be in the house at the same
So
time.
when 2 grown women came, but you still hold on to that baby.
Yeah,
them
yeah, that's
girls.
my baby.
Oh.
Oh.
Y'all heard that, man, ladies?
Well, that's actually how I felt. I felt like 2 grown women.
Can't.
Cannot be in the
Yes.
house.
See, that's
I'm
it.
And I would have
heard
left
that.
my son at home till Jesus came.
Mhm.
Yes.
You can stay. But that daughter,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go.
Yeah,
Was it that she's so much like you?
Probably.
Mm.
probably. Yeah.
Probably from the other.
Mhm.
Yes, I think so too.
My son is just I'm telling you, my son is just like me. My daughter, oh my God.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're not talking about right
Mhm.
now.
We
We're
want to
talking-
let's look at the Valerie of
daughter-
1982.
One.
One.
My daughter.
Yeah, I'm just going to 82. Yeah,
No.
that Valerie there.
She's like Harry.
Well, the Valerie was never, Valerie was never a person that was out there wild or anything. She was always reserved. But I'm talking about from the fire. If we go back to who she was and the fighter and the young girl that she was, do you see you in there?
My daughter is a different.
Let's just go to the age when she was, if you're okay with it. I'm just trying to take us back. So if you look at her at the age 16 and then think about yourself at 16, would y'all do some of the same things at 16?
Well,
Same interest?
Excuse me, that's kind of hard to say because at 15, she left home.
Okay.
And so she was out there doing her
Her-
own thing.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
she did not come back home until she was 23. And I made her come back home because she was pregnant.
Okay. Okay.
So those years, I really
You missed.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So everybody's story is different.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
okay. So I hear what you're saying there. From what she's saying there, those periods of time when she really had an opportunity to see herself in her, you didn't have that. That
Mhm.
was-
She wasn't around
she
at
wasn't
all.
around.
And that's those years right there
are so important.
critical.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, because she's becoming a woman.
Woman,
Mhm.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you guys didn't have that relationship.
Mhm.
You weren't nurturing that.
Right.
to-
Mhm.
Yeah. That's tough.
That
Yeah.
is-
Yeah, it's almost like you're strangers
Yeah.
when you miss that critical part.
Look
Yeah.
like we got Abigail is throwing. You got a couple of questions. You're gonna take this mic
I'm
real
just
quick.
gonna borrow this
Okay.
microphone really quickly.
Okay.
We have a question from Karen Jubert,
Okay.
who's joining us. She said, "Hi everyone. I'm curious to know from our moms, at what point did you start seeing your children as adults, and was it difficult to shift from the parent-child relationship,
Yes,
from the parent-child to the parent-adult-child relationship?"
that's difficult.
That's
Yes.
very difficult. Who want to
Because
take
they're
that
always
first?
your babies.
Who-
Yeah.
I think we all. We're
Why
gonna,
is that difficult? What?
So because it goes back to what Jackie said, you're in this space of being needed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so when kids 18 years old
Mhm.
and whether you grow, you're still trying to separate being needed from them going on. So like when my daughter was gone and grown and she's like in Miss Independent
Mhm.
10.0, not even 2.0. And she's just that kid. When I took my son to college, I cried for like the first 6 months he was gone
Mhm.
because I was like, my kids are gone. And even I started to see them as adults.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, wow. the hard part is we do see ourselves in them.
Yes.
And sometimes we're like,
Ooh,
oh, that's
that
what
was
my
me.
mama saw.
Mhm.
That's what my dad was
Mhm.
talking about.
Yes.
And so you begin to give them, I began to give my kids a lot of grace because I saw a lot of me in my daughter
Mhm.
who was so independent.
Mhm.
And then I see so much of my son in me. And so I'm like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
they're going to be okay
Mhm.
because I am.
Mhm.
And so I can see them in those relationships, but it's hard to
Let it
begin that process. There is no such thing as cutting no apron strings. Y'all can, no, I'm not cutting the apron strings.
But
But
this
I'm okay.
this is my unlicensed opinion on that.
Okay, let's hear what
Well,
is
MD.
Is
Go-
that we are moving from a place of saying I'm needed to a place of saying I want to be appreciated.
Oh, that's a good one there.
You know,
I like that.
that's a fair assessment.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can you say that one more
Yeah.
time? I like that.
you like that?
I like that.
Let me see it.
Sometimes you need unlicensed to come in.
It's just an unlicensed opinion
I
there.
like that.
So I think that according to the question that was asked by Miss Karen out there, that you're moving from a place of being needed to a place of wanting to be appreciated
Yes.
Wow.
for what you have done
Yes.
throughout the years.
Yes.
I think that
That's a great statement.
Yeah.
And you do. I can
Flesh and blood didn't tell me that.
baby.
Come on here.
That's that unlicensed work. That look. I like it. That's
So
exactly
what is your
yeah.
what is your license opinion on that?
No. This is an unlicensed opinion. But I think for me, the difference and the difficulty was me allowing my daughter, my adult daughter, to have her own voice because I'm really big on respect. So it's kind of like, who you talking to?
Why are you
You
sitting
know what I
next
mean?
to me? That was a big
Yeah, and
Keep
so
going.
I think that just being able to listen, I have grown to the place where yes, talk to me. I still feel like there's a certain way, but don't get so caught up in
The
all of that.
respect
You know what I
thing,
mean?
yeah.
You gotta definitely hear the heart and know, okay, there are times when she's very upset and she may say a cuss word. So I can't get stuck right there like,
Mhm.
oh, you cussing? You're being this.
Mhm.
you
That's
know
why
what I mean?
we
Because-
going there now.
Yeah, exactly. Not that it happens often, obviously, but she knows me so well to know that that's not tolerated. So if she's slipping and saying it, she must be hurt enough, frustrated enough.
Okay.
Something is going on that it needs my attention more than it needs me to be giving her an
Sharing.
attitude about
You
what
know,
she's
I
saying.
like that because I think that, and I can speak for our culture because we have been taught, we have been reared, and I'm not saying any other culture is not that either, but respect.
Yes.
Sometimes we can get so caught up on respect that we turn it into how we determine what respect look like.
Right.
And so then we place that on
Yes.
our own kids and then we want to tell them to stop talking.
And then they don't.
And then
feel
they
like
shut down.
They shut down.
Yeah,
They don't want to
yes,
talk to us at this point.
So that was a process that I had to learn, and
Absolutely.
I have to learn to give
I'm
them
still
that
learning that.
Yeah.
Voice is huge.
Yes.
You have to give
Mhm.
kids a voice.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I always taught my kids this. You can say whatever you want to say. Let's see how you're going to frame it.
Mhm.
And if you're saying something and you're able to back it up or you have facts, now don't go out there all willy-nilly.
Mhm.
But if we don't give them the room
Come on.
to create a voice, they're going to hear so many voices when they get outside of our, own
Safety.
situation.
Yes.
That little
Mhm.
safety net.
Yes.
They've got to be able to know, I can speak up, I can self-advocate for myself.
Yes.
Mhm.
I can say things I can have conversations with people. So I think as young kids, you have to create that space where they have a voice. Now, adults don't always like that. That
Yes.
becomes very challenging
Yes.
for adults. But you got to create it because if they don't learn it early, they're going to have a hard time with it as an adult. And even in our own relationships, they will not have the kinds of conversations
And
we
see,
need.
But
I don't have a problem with you having an opinion or views or anything like
Not
that.
the what, it's the how.
It's the how
It's the
with
how.
me. You have to learn. You're gonna speak to me in the proper way. You're not gonna let all your emotions and I have a problem with that, especially with the girls. You know, they very emotional when they want to speak about something.
But
And I can't. And as for a man, I can't hear
But I think
what you're saying.
I think that goes back to, again, the way we were raised,
Mhm.
because we still are trying to control the conversation from little bitty creatures that that are different than us, and they are coming from a whole different place. Not saying that they are not supposed to have respect, but they're in a whole different time than when we came up. So
And
we-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
and
No,
what? No. And when we came up, we understood. Be quiet. Don't talk. These kids today coming up doing that, they don't understand it. And so we have to allow them, and we have to learn to teach them how, let them speak, but help them to learn how to do it in a way that's respectful.
Absolutely.
But they're only going to be able to do that by letting them speak. I mean, would anybody care to say?
Well, you have to let them speak.
Yes.
I mean, if you shut them down, then you've lost, all communication.
Yes.
And sometimes when we bow up, like I used to do that with my son, I'd bow up,
Yeah.
problem shut down, the message is lost, it's all lost. And
because
I want that safety, them to feel a safe place to come to me like your children
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And communicate and tell me anything, even though I want to unhear it.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the
You
hard
told me
part
that?
when
Oh
you're
my
listening
gosh.
and
Yes.
trying not to react.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And just, staying calm, hearing the message. And nowadays, I can't imagine what kids are going through.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
I would not want to live in today.
Because
Being
it's
a child,
it's
kid.
a whole
All the
different.
social media,
Yes.
everything, it's
There's
just
so
a totally
much,
different
there's
world.
so much noise.
Yeah.
There's so much
It's never calm.
conversation. And they can have conversations with all kinds of people that we, like, growing up, our circle was limited.
Yeah.
The people we knew.
Of who?
So now social media and all of those things, here's the thing, I let mine have that emotion. You can live in that emotion. Because we are.
Yes.
Like, now, are you throwing something?
Yes.
Because I think that safe space is with me, right? So when you're coming into a situation, if you got a curse, if you're having a tantrum, if you're having a meltdown, because they are adults now. I could control that emotion a little bit when they were younger, but they are adults. And I have remembered when I've had meltdowns and I've had temper tantrums, and life was too
Tough.
it was very tough for me. And I don't want to squash
That emotion.
that moment.
Mhm.
Now, you got about 30 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a time frame.
Okay. So
good, Kim.
then now my
You helping somebody with
Yeah.
that.
okay, so
Yeah.
now what's the solution?
Yes.
Mhm.
So what I'm hearing you say, which I think is good, and I hope that we're all getting something from this, is that give them that space. Let them express it out. But you too have to take 5, fall back, and then say, okay, now we've been on this here. You've been ranting and raving for the last, we may not use that word, but basically now it's time for us to move into
Yeah,
solution.
'cause growing
mode.
up is like
Yeah.
we know that. Growing up is tough.
Yeah.
And they're going through relationships and learning how to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And
Friendship
friendships
issues.
and all of that. And those things are really tough.
Mhm.
And so they are going to come from an emotional place sometimes.
I think too, we have to make sure that we are not always looking at things as disrespect. I know I'm a very passionate person, and sometimes I notice that people will be like, why are you upset? I'm like, no, I'm not upset. I'm just very passionate about what I'm talking about. And sometimes that
That's
kind of
what
stuff
you
can
see.
be perceived.
That's
Yeah, it
what
can
you
be
see.
perceived as disrespect or
Yeah.
anger or something like
Right.
that. And it's like,
But I think it's unfair when we judge people off of that, because now we're telling other people how they are supposed to express their emotions based off of where we are and how we express ours.
Absolutely.
And so when you do that,
Mhm.
think about the damage you're doing to that relationship and to the person that you say you care about, because you're putting them in the box based off of how you express.
Yep.
That's real.
yeah, I think too that like with my dad, he's definitely old school and feel like, you go respect, you know what I mean? And so there have been times that we bumped heads because he felt like when I voiced my opinion, that was disrespectful. And it's kind of like, well, Daddy,
You gonna respect my house, girl. I don't know what you think you doing.
And it's so funny because I'm like, you helped create this strong woman. You know what I mean? Don't penalize me for what it is now that you have helped to create. And I think that we have to be careful as parents not to try to dummy them down when we have instilled in them to be strong,
Stand
and be
up for
courageous,
themselves,
and, you know,
have a voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to make sure we're not muzzling them,
Right.
trying to still hold on to them like they're children, and that's not the case.
Okay, so y'all helping me right now. So what I'm hearing here is that, you know, when your daughter
Your son.
or son is having an emotional breakdown, I need to sit back and just take a woosah, not jump into the actual shouting of what's going on,
Mhm.
but actually
And
try to
fix it
listen
mode,
to the
yeah.
words, feel the heart of what's
Right.
really going
Yes.
on with the bottom of
Let
the
them
issue.
have that.
Yeah,
Right.
Let them have that moment.
Yeah.
They need that moment. And then,
but 30 minutes though, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
30.
And especially if you're a problem solver,
Yeah,
it's
'cause
hard to
that's
just
hard.
for people
Right.
to go on and on and
Yes.
on. Okay, I've heard
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, once they start repeating themselves, okay, I think I've
And
got
that I have a
right?
big problem with that.
Yeah, so now
Because in your
let's
mind,
move
you already have
into-
it fixed.
Yeah.
For them. You already have the
Yes.
plan.
Let's move into the action of
Okay.
it now. What are we doing to solve this problem?
But
Yes.
we need to give them that time, and we can't
Absolutely.
put our time stamp. So what we can,
And then we had that even as married folks,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
just
we do,
trying to
because you want to fix it, and I need to get it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
See,
Mhm.
I'm
Come
a
on,
work
Val.
in progress with that one.
Me too. Come on, Val.
Yeah, I'm a work in progress with that one because we raise our grandkids. And now the oldest grandkid is 14.
Okay.
Mhm.
And she thinks that she has to go back and forth, and has to have the last word. So I'm looking at her like, stop being disrespectful.
Mhm.
Almost every word that comes out of her mouth to me is disrespectful.
Mhm.
But to her, it's like, what did I say? I don't understand. What do you mean? And I'm like, you know what you mean?
Yeah.
You said it.
Yes, I get what you're saying. But I think, again, if we go back to this generation
Yeah.
and how they express themselves
Right.
and what they need to get out, and maybe what we need to do or what you need to do is set a rule, not or a time frame. I'm going to let you get it out.
I'm
gonna let
about 30 minutes though. That's
30
a long time.
minutes.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
How about you start with, can you do 5, 10?
Just think about it. As a speaker,
Mhm.
if somebody say, okay, you have 5 minutes to do your speech.
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes is a long time
Time.
when you up there speaking.
Right.
Now I could give her 2.
You give a 2? Okay.
Mhm.
But start with your 2.
Yeah,
If you can do 2,
yeah.
okay, she gonna give a 2. Kim.
That's, well, and I think it comes within whatever the moment is.
Yeah.
You know, like the 30 minutes. It's my thing. My daughter used to accuse me of this all the time because she thought I was like this heartless person. But I'm not. I'm a problem solver. And I don't get stuck anywhere because after you stop crying and slinging snot, you still
got the
have to
problem.
resolve the
Mhm.
problem.
Mhm.
So I'm going to let you have the emotion.
Mhm.
And then we still have to figure this thing out.
Mhm.
That's what we have to do. So we got to get to that point. I think sometimes kids are not, their words are not disrespectful. It's their tone.
Tone.
Yes.
That's
that
what it
hurts
is.
us.
Yes.
That's what it
So
is.
Like,
I
when
want
they
to
change
ask
your
Abigail, what you think about this, Abigail, being the young lady on the show here?
You know, this is a really interesting conversation. I had my mom here on this show to talk a little bit about motherhood as well. And of course, you know, I'm grown. I live with my mom. So we were bickering, you know, we were arguing a little bit. And so it's really nice to hear that, you know,
You're
That-
not alone. Huh?
that I'm not alone. Yeah, that it's definitely like, you know, comes on both sides, you know,
Mhm.
that kind of where like the mother-daughter relationship where you bump heads and stuff like that. And so I really liked what you said too, because I feel like my mom does the similar thing. Like even this morning we were having our little technical difficulties. I had a moment and, you know, my mom in that moment can see like she's having a meltdown. I'm gonna leave her alone, let her have her, let her be upset. She yells or she gets, you know, I'm gonna let her say what she needs to say. and then we're going to come back and we're going to fix the problem.
Mhm.
And so I really appreciate that. And I think especially, I'm not a parent myself, but something that I've always appreciated about parents, like when they can set their pride aside and kind of just be there as a parent.
Yeah.
Respect is important, but sometimes, like what you were saying earlier, it's not the first priority. It's like, let's get the emotions out and then we'll address the respect.
Now, my question would be, do you really want a parent or do you want a friend?
You want both.
Yeah, I would like both.
Yeah.
But a parent, I have friends, you know what I mean? Sometimes like, and me and my mom are really close, and so sometimes that line gets a little bit blurred. And then where I'm like, no, don't tell me what I want to hear. Like, tell me
The truth.
Tell me the truth. Tell me that I'm
Mhm.
in the wrong. Like, tell me that I need to fix this. Tell me that I've hit rock bottom. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so sometimes that line can get blurred. And I kind of wish I had someone who's a little bit more like, not anything against my mom, but something that was a little more like, okay, fix this, do this, a little more stern. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's good. Okay.
It's so funny. I saw a show on, I think it was on ABC 13, and I saw it always on Hulu, but it's called The Parent Test. I don't know if anybody saw that. And
Yes.
I think that everybody should watch this show, even though a lot of the people on the show had young kids, but there were a couple of them with teenage kids, but it was showing all the different styles of parenting, helicopter parents, ones that were children led and, kind of stern, but fair. They said they had all these different types. And, there were husbands and wives, there was single mom, there were, gay couples. It was just different. Right. And you got to see how their children handled certain situations based on how the parenting styles equipped them. And so then is your child going to leave with a stranger, even though you may have said, don't do that, don't do that?
Absolutely.
Or is your child going to, let's say you drop them off at a place and you say, I'm going to come back and get you. Then someone who they know comes there to pick them up. They automatically assume that you sent them, but that may not be the case because a lot of times they can be hurt, abducted, or anything from people they already familiar with.
Yes.
And so are they going to do it or are they going to call and make sure, so it was really eye-opening. And even though there were some things that I wish I knew when I was raising my daughter, now I just feel like, oh gosh, whenever I have grandkids, I'm ready to try to, implement some of these things.
Yeah.
I feel with the grandkids, God gives us a second chance.
Absolutely.
At parenting. So it's really, it's kind of funny. Some things that I give grace with the grandkids, I was much more stern with the kids. And I think that if I had it to do it all over again, because there is no book of parenting. Yeah, I don't care how many books they claim written out there.
Come on.
When you jump into motherhood and being a parent, you're just leading with your heart.
You just doing what your parents taught you.
And your heart, right.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And I want to know, because it seems like when you were talking about the daughters, you're like, oh, that's my babies. But then when you're talking about the son, I see a lot of times that it's that same sex parent-child relationship that the ones that kind of bump heads the most. You know what I mean?
So you got a question for him? Come on.
No, that goes for all. You have it with the
But she was saying,
sons.
you can't control this. And she's asking about the men and the men realm. Come on.
Yeah.
They're all staying out of
And because we hear about that a lot with mother-daughter relationships.
Yes.
That, you know what I mean? But how is it with a son and a father and them, you saying, two men can't live in a house? Because I've never heard that.
Two grown men.
Two grown men.
Yeah,
I've never heard that before. But I've always heard, two grown women. No, you can't live in. It can't be but one queen of this house.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, my husband said it all the time. And when my son made 18,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you have to go.
Yeah.
I don't care if you go to college, army, but you're not going to sit here. You have to go.
And do something.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stay here and do something.
Right.
You have to go.
It ain't but one jock strap in this house. You can't have
With
two
my
jock
daughter, I was
straps.
like, I wanted her to say, I'm like, school is your job. You know what I mean? For college, that's your job. You don't have to get a job. You don't have to pay not one bill as long as you're in school. But when you decide you don't want to go to school anymore, or whatever it is, then you need to figure out.
But I want to come back to the son thing. I think I'll let him off easy. He's the father in here. And you're the sons. Why is it different, and or is it different? Is it a different
I don't think it's
expectation
different.
from
I think
males?
I think it depends on what the child is doing.
No, that's
when-
not the
when-
question I'm asking.
What you
Is
ask.
there a different expectation for your male, not you particularly, I'm speaking of men. Is it a different expectation for fathers with their male children than it is for their female?
Yeah.
And why is that?
It's a natural thing, I believe.
But-
It's just a natural instinct. You want your son to be, you want them to be, like I say, many yous are better than you.
So you want them to be a man.
Yeah, you want them to, you raise them up to be a man, you know.
Okay.
You know, shake a man
Protect.
hand firmly, look a man in the eye when you're talking to him. You're teaching him these things.
Yes.
And so at some point, you know, you want him to abide by the things you've been teaching him.
Okay. Okay.
And you don't teach your daughter all.
So that's
most
mama's
men
job.
don't. Yeah, most men don't teach the daughter that. You just love the daughter.
Okay. Okay.
And
That's
you
good.
teaching the daughter. That's why you and the daughter had this.
Right.
Oh, so that's good.
And then you just nurturing the boy.
Okay.
Yes.
See, that's
That's what mamas do. They nurture the boy.
That's a fact, right? there. See, y'all can't talk about my husband and his unlicensed stuff. Yo, baby, give me how. Yo,
And I think that's real.
yeah, that is very real. I
Yeah.
like that.
Because with my daughter, like I needed her to be independent. You know, you got to know how to do.
So you
certain
won't be in
things
a
and,
situation.
you know, you got to be able to take care. Man, and with my son, it was like that's my baby, and my daughter thinks that my son is my favorite.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yes, yes.
Because they're 10 years apart, so she sees differences in how I raised him as opposed to her. But it is a different
Yes,
feeling and experience
it is.
mothering a female and mothering a son.
Different relationship.
It's a different type of relationship. I wanted a son. Here's why. Because I saw how my brothers loved my mother.
And you want
And I was like, dang,
want that.
you know? And my mom was out on my neck. You gotta be independent, and I could do all of that. But
See,
man,
this thing I was talking about, it crosses generation lines. You know, it's been going on forever and ever.
So I think that is a, that's a true statement.
That was very
Yes.
good. We go ahead.
I actually have a question because I'm an only child. I'm a girl and I grew up with my mom, right? So I didn't grow up around a lot of boys. And y'all have boys. Do you have a boy, Dr. Keener?
Through marriage, yes, I have
Okay.
two.
So, like, and what you said reminded me of this. So, like, how do you keep your boy from being a mama's boy, though? Or do you want a mama's boy?
I
You want a healthy balance.
Yeah, I like that. Some people use that term negatively.
Derogative.
Yes,
Right?
Yes.
It's not for me. You know, I think my son and I, he might be considered maybe a mama's boy. I don't think in a negative way. My son really takes care of me. He wants to know if I'm out, he's going to call, Mom, you made it home. He does. He does that in a way that, watch this, makes me feel secure. And so I think even from a male perspective, as a mom, I want to feel protected. With my dad, that was my dad's role. I didn't have a nurturing dad, but I always felt protected by that male in my life. So when I hear people say that, I'm like, that boy just really loves his mama. And maybe y'all son don't love you like him.
I will say this.
That's the end of the story, right?
I've seen both sides of it. I think that you have mom and son relationships where it really is that, that the mom was the son's first love and he just adores her and wants to take care of her and that sort of thing. But I think there are times when moms start making their sons their unofficial husbands.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And
yes.
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
That
And I
is a-
have definitely seen that.
I see that a
too
lot.
involved.
That is so true.
And it's like, no, baby, you need a husband.
Yeah.
You need to let this son.
Son be a
Go-
son.
Yes.
Yes. And then when there is
And
a
vice versa.
relationship, right. And then when there is a relationship, you have to respect that
Yes.
boundary.
But a lot of times those moms, they into it with the girlfriends or the
Exactly.
wives because
Yes.
they really think,
They feel like they should be first. It
yes,
wasn't-
and that's not the order of God. I'm
And see,
sorry.
that my mama didn't
Yes,
just
she did.
dislike you.
We're not going there. We're not going there.
Abigail, you are so messy on that board today. I think that I think it's because the mother and son relationship is shifting.
Mhm.
I don't think it's necessarily that they don't love or care for the girl.
Mhm.
I think that a mother is going through, well, where am I going to be
Mhm.
in that son's life
Mhm.
now that
She's trying
there's
to
someone
Especially
else?
when she's a single mom.
And
Yes.
then I think the other thing, but I think it's a responsibility of the son
Mhm.
to then have that conversation with that mother.
That takes growing up, baby.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
but
that takes a lot of growing up to do
well,
that.
thank God we got there. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think that I'm trying to talk to the people that's
Yeah.
still going through it.
That's okay.
I ain't talking to you. I'm
Yeah.
talking to people. You understand? I
You
think
talk
that's-
about if you just say your mama, you ain't say nothing about your mama. I just say your mama. That's a whole fight right there.
That's a fight.
I think that it's a responsibility of the son to ensure the mom
Mhm.
that, hey, we're good. I got you.
Mhm.
But this is my heart. This is my mate.
Mhm.
This is what I'm moving into. We're not taking you out of the relationship.
Mhm.
You just have a different
Yeah.
place in
Yeah.
Yeah,
in-
there has to be boundaries.
they have to be
Absolutely.
You know,
Very
so I'm excited. Not right now. My son's 21.
Yes.
Right.
But I'm excited about
For that.
him becoming a man
Mhm.
and then a husband
Mhm.
and then a father
Mhm.
in that order.
Order.
Mhm.
Right. So we
Mhm.
talk a lot about that because,
Mhm.
even with my daughter, I want to see them become adults
Mhm.
and be married and have families. I don't need to be in their lives anymore. Can y'all just have some grandbabies and just
Mhm.
send them
Yeah, yeah.
up to me
Yeah.
and go, so
Yeah.
I do think you have to have those boundaries
Yes.
and give them the freedom to understand.
Mhm.
You're gonna have a mate, and guess what? It may be a mate that I might have a little
Mhm.
reservation about,
Mhm.
but I don't say it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I watch from a distance, and I feel like they're gonna have to go through that. Because oh my God, how many times have I made mistakes in
You are
relationships?
such
Mhm.
the perfect parent.
No,
No such thing. No such thing.
I always go back to say, man, I made so many mistakes.
Yeah.
So go on, baby, because
Mhm.
that might be a mistake,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but you're gonna have
That's not your mistake.
Ain't
You
my
have to learn.
mistake. Yeah.
I have Christian over here. He is a son. Christian, can you take the mic for a second? I have a question for you.
Mhm.
As a son, and of course, I know that you're very close to your mother.
Mhm.
And was there ever a time that you felt like it was hard saying, Mom, I need you to kind of be over here and let me do this thing?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So like when I graduated college, I graduated 2019, and then 2020 is when the pandemic happened.
Mhm.
So I moved back in with my mom,
Okay.
and I remember like while I was staying there, like the whole time, like we'd be kind of like butting heads, because like she'd be like all up in my business, what I mean? Like she would want to like, I would leave the house and she'd be like, oh, like where are you going?
Uh-huh.
Like when will you be back? Everything like that. But it's like, like I'm grown.
Mhm.
I'm staying with you, and I respect that you're letting me stay here. But at the same time, it's like I gotta be me,
Mhm.
like I gotta do these things. And then when it was finally time for me to move back out of her house, she was like, "Oh, like where are you going? Like, please don't go."
Don't
Like-
go, don't go. Do you think that staying at home with your mom, and speaking from a male, and do you think that is difficult because we want to know where you're at, or we just kind of want to know what time you're coming? Is that a problem? Or
I don't think it's a problem because it's coming from like a place of love.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
they just care about you, and
Yeah.
like even though you're grown, like they still look at you as like their kid, their
Yeah.
baby. Like he's like, I'm a mama's boy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
So,
say
like-
you're a mama's boy.
Mom, I hope you're not
Yeah.
listening.
I'm a mama's boy.
So let's
But-
talk about that mama's boy. What is a mama's boy?
I guess like everyone would have a different definition.
Yeah,
but like
what's your
I talk to my mom like almost every day, you know, like we hang out like, you know, not all the time, but like, you know, like, I always try to make time to like go spend time with her and like, you know, do dinners or like watch a movie or something like that. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like a lot of people, their thing is they, you know, like once you're an adult, like, you know, you have like holidays and, you know, stuff like that. You can call every now and then, but it's not like everybody's deal to, you know, be in touch like with their parents.
Yes.
And that's your deal.
That's my deal.
I think that's beautiful. I like that. I really do.
I need to address something.
Uh-oh.
The question about sons need to have boundaries with their mothers. I mean, when they're married or whatever. There's one scripture in the Bible talks about a man and a woman and clinging one to another. And that particular scripture, y'all know what I'm talking
Leave
about?
and cleave. Come on. I mean,
Yeah. That particular scripture takes time to really understand, to cling to your wife, to your own wife. And, you know, we see it on the surface, but internally we still have this biblical connection with our mama or whatever it is at the time. And that can be a difficult conversation with any young man growing up, trying to tell his mother about a boundary, about, you know, stepping in a marital relationship with a son. So
I have a question on that. No, that's a good one. No, I don't want to leave that part right there. I think that's a good one.
get that out your face
Okay,
right there.
thank you. Why is that particular scripture difficult? It takes
I
time.
don't have the answer to that, but I just know, looking at my own life and looking at a lot of young males that is in my family, had a hard time trying to tell their mama, get out the business. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair. That's fair.
And you know, it wasn't until I was up in age, I was in my 50s when I finally told my mother, you know, okay, mama, you wrong.
Yeah.
It's time to stop.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a difficult conversation, I think, for any man, because I struggled with that for years. I blame you all the time.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He did because, and I think what happened, and it's always so honest, right? We don't hold nothing back. I think he did because it was easier to see me
of course.
as the problem.
Yeah.
Because again, that
'Cause
goes
this-
back
'cause
to
this
Because he's
all
a
I-
mama's boy.
No, it wasn't.
That's why
It
he's a
wasn't that I
mama's
was
boy.
a mama's boy.
There you go.
It was that, you know, I'm dealing with her frustration traveling back home. She's going on and on and on about my mama. You know, you can't say nothing about my mama. What's wrong with you?
But boys put their mom
Yeah.
on this pedestal that
Yeah.
is like unattainable for the wife or the girlfriend
Right.
or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
kind of
Anyone,
like you do
yeah.
have to make sure that you say she can still be on this pedestal, but she should not come off of this pedestal to get in
Over
your
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because the wife has her
And that's true.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying to all the young brothers out there that are married right now and your mama in your business, you're gonna have to grow up. You're gonna have to get to that place where you really have to tell mama, you know, mama.
because if not, you're causing
Right.
problems.
Mama is really in between you. There's no clinging.
Come on.
All right, let me preach to y'all.
Okay,
You
come
can't cling to your wife if mama's sitting in the middle of it right there.
on. And thank God you had a strong wife that stayed in.
Oh, well, very strong.
Because what I'm gonna be honest, there was a whole bunch of conversations that, and just being honest, and that's what we
Yeah.
have to do. And I'm sure there are other people experiencing the same thing right now. But I had to have conversations with my friend. There were times that I'm like, Kim, and you know, and somebody has a friend out there because you're saying to yourself, where am I at in this relationship?
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that what you just said, you got to grow up.
Yeah. And you're looking at your spouse like something wrong with her. You know, there's nothing wrong. Your mama keep on messing with her.
Well, it's easier. It's easier for you to address her because you look at her as your equal versus going and having this
No,
confrontation.
there's something different about that. Because I'm not going home with mama fussing at me about what she said.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going home with her fussing about what mama said. And I ain't hear mama say nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So and that's where you had a problem at. And so you got to get to a place where you really just trust your mate first and foremost, and just believe in your marriage. You know?
And I think the hardest thing sometimes is for, I think it's the hardest thing sometimes is for us to be able to accept responsibility and then see there is an issue I need to address.
Mm-hmm.
And as painful as it may be to address it, I got to address it,
Yeah.
especially as a man. I see you.
I'm going to say this that we hadn't talked about because as the mother of a Black male, nurturing sometimes looks different.
It does.
That protective net, because when our sons go outside of our home, we know that they're treated differently. You know, if he
Go there, girl.
if he runs a red light, that may look a little different.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes into the store, he could easily be mistaken. There's a fear.
Yes.
This is a real thing.
Yes.
There's a fear when my son leaves and goes home. He may
Goes
not
outside
come
the
back.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the phone rings, when my son calls, I answer
the phone.
on the first
On
ring.
the first ring.
Because there's so many environmental issues that I know that my Black son can encounter that I have no control over, that can totally change the course of his life and mine too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think mothering or even parenting, because I would think a father feels like this
Same.
too, but certainly when my son comes home, I wait until I'm comfortable
Mm-hmm.
when he's back home.
Yes.
It could be 4, whatever time. Ooh,
Yes.
now I can go to
Now I
sleep
can rest.
and I can get some
Yeah.
rest. And so I think that's a difference in how sometimes as they become adults,
Yes. And even
And
when
that's funny. You don't have that same word for the daughter.
you know, here's the thing.
tell the difference.
I think there was it wasn't in the confines of that. And my daughter, I raised her in a different time because they're 10 years
10 years
apart.
apart.
Here recently with my son, we've had more issues of Black males
Right,
and not coming back home. And that's a real issue. So that's always on my mind.
Yeah.
It is.
I 100% agree with you on that. And as us having African American sons, just what is going on in the climate, it is just a different. They're faced something different than say a Caucasian male being pulled over, or they're not going to second guess my Christian what he's doing, like they would second guess my son Lawrence and what he's doing. They could be doing the exact same thing, but in the exact same way. Christian, they're going to say, go ahead on, where they may not say that to my son.
And so when we're teaching them that voice,
yes.
everybody's going to respond to that voice
differently.
It looks a little differently when they're on the outside. And so there's a discomfort when they're not in our view.
Right.
That was a great.
But I know we have to end this show.
Yeah.
I know Christian probably can tell the policeman, what is your badge number?
And make it home.
What would you say, Tim? What would you say? What would you say to him, Christian? Get that bike and say what you.
Oh, was I speeding, officer? I'm so sorry. I had no idea.
Right.
You put on like your white voice.
Yes, exactly. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
boy. Well, that's the world we live in today, but I know it's time.
Not making any light of what. Thank you, Christian, for really saying and breaking the difference down. And Kim, thank you so much. Thank you, all of y'all, for coming in with a different perspective of nurturing. But before we go, because I got Abigail over there saying to me, time to go. I really want to have an opportunity for you guys to introduce yourself, say what you do and how they can find you, and your experience on the show real quick. Since Kim's been here before and Valerie's been here before, I'm going to let Kim go first and then we'll hit Valerie.
If I say tomato, you going to say tomato.
There you go. I have to tell them all the time. I'm the host. You know.
Well, let our new guest.
Well, I don't want them to go first because they have to know how to close it out. Can
Yes, go first.
y'all just go? Thank y'all.
Well, I'm Kim Courville-Williams, and I'm an educator. I also have a LLC, Stretch Forward LLC, and I've been on the show before.
Yes.
It's always great to be here with Val. I told the ladies earlier, I think I've known her out of the womb. We're from the same hometown, and so it's a pleasure to be back as well, my friend.
Thank you, sis.
And before you leave, Kim, if you don't mind, I know you don't like to brag on yourself, but she got 2 children that has made it into the NBA and the WNBA. So congratulations.
Bad work.
There you go. And Valerie. All right, Valerie.
Hi, my name is Valerie Gardner-Smith, and my name is Valerie because my birthday is on Valentine's Day.
Oh, all right.
I am the founder and a survivor of colon cancer. I have a nonprofit organization, Crusaders for Colon Cancer. You can contact me at www.3-ccc.org.
And your experience.
What's that 3 - what is it?
Crusaders for Colon Cancer.
Okay.
ccc.org.
Okay.
I have a master's degree in information system. And
Oh, you could have. I could have brought you in here to fix my technology today. And we had all those
kind of,
issues.
sort of.
Oh, yeah. See, before you leave, I'm gonna need you to look at that board now.
And I raised my grandchildren 14 and 8.
All right.
All righty.
Yeah, all righty. And now to you ladies. There you go. Go ahead.
I'm Jackie Bay. I'm a breast cancer survivor. It's interesting you said that.
Yes.
Bless you.
Bless you.
I have a company. I'm an owner of a staffing agency here in Houston, MCS Personnel. We have about 200 employees.
Okay.
Busy. And what else were we supposed to say?
And your experience on the show.
Oh, my experience has been amazing.
Oh.
No. Y'all have been wonderful. I was late.
We would never.
And
Nobody knew.
you guys put me right at home. I was very nervous coming from Katy, Texas.
Oh.
It was a long drive, but no, I've had a wonderful experience here with everybody.
God
Good
bless you.
information.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Dr. Courtney.
I'm Dr. Courtney Gatlin Keener. I have a nonprofit organization that helps low to median income single moms get college degrees. And so last year we awarded $10,000 in academic scholarships, and we're looking to raise at least $15,000 this year to give away. And I'm really excited about that. Currently, we have a shoe drive going on also. So if you guys have new or gently worn shoes, then please get in contact with us. Our website is www.drcgk.org. And we are on social media at drcgk.org.
Okay. Y'all come and pick up the shoes?
We can. There's a number that you can
Oh,
call.
wonderful. I'm cleaning out my closet.
Give us a call, please, and let us know, and we will certainly make arrangements to pick them up. And those shoes will translate into dollars to help with our academic scholarships.
That's a blessing.
We're excited. It is
Yeah.
a blessing. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself today. I love the conversation, and I think it's great to have women talking and about things. And then and having the male perspective here to balance it out, I think that's fantastic. So thank you for inviting us. Thank you, Abigail, for staying in constant contact and making sure everything was great. Thank you guys so much.
God
You're
bless you.
coming back. Yes, Valerie.
I just have one last thing to
Sure.
say. Thank y'all so much for giving me some insight and some things to work on within myself.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I may not have taken that.
Next step.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And as always, it's a pleasure to be on this show. I always learn something different about myself and others. So thank you so much for having me, and feel free to call me again.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to do. Brother
Doctor, what's this doctorate in?
I have a doctorate. I'm a doctor of business administration. I have a concentration in finance.
Good.
Yes.
All right. God bless you.
Thank you.
Well, it's truly, truly a blessing to have each and every one of you on the show today. As you see, my fellow Carter Crew is what they call it? Carter Crew. All right.
Mhm.
The Carter Crew, as you see, we have constant professionals come on this show week in and week out. Don't miss out.
Yes.
You just might find something or hear something that will save your life.
And for me, I want to thank all of you all. Thank you, ladies, for coming in and just doing what you're doing and allowing the Lord to use you. Abigail is going to rebook y'all before y'all leave because we're going to do a redo. Thank you again to the Love and Victory Show, Carter Crew. Until next time. Woo!